Alright, welcome back. This unit's basically designed as Chapter 17. It's all plug and slot welds. It pretty much follows the same format that I've been preaching in the previous chapters. What is a plug or a slot weld? First of all, a plug or slot weld basically, for example, if this was two pieces of plate and I put another plate on here with a small diameter hole and I weld that hole shut to the other plate, that's basically a plug weld. Slot welds are a little different. Same format. They're actually elongated. So they're elongated and they're filled in completely. So to give you a different side view of a plug or a slot weld, two plates top each other, hole in that plate, and we actually fill that all out as well. So basically it's a hole or a slot in a piece of material and there's another piece of material underneath it and you fill that hole in all the way. Now keep in mind now if we have a plug weld, for example, like this, we put another plate on top of it and there's a bigger hole and we just run a weld around that outer edge, that is not a plug or a slot, that is actually a fill weld. So a plug or a slot weld, that whole hole is filled in completely. Usually they're fairly small, usually they're about under 1 inch diameter, and slots are pretty much the same. So first of all, what does the symbol look like? Basically it's a rectangular box, like that. Anything to the left of that weld symbol is always size. For example, let's say if we have 1 inch diameter, what is that telling me? That is telling me that if this is our hole right here, that hole right here is a 1 inch diameter. So that's basically the size of our weld. So that hole is a 1 inch. Now for slots, because this is a plug, slot welds, typically they don't have a diameter symbol, so that's one way. That's the same symbol representing plug or slot or plug. If there's no diameter symbol in there, that's usually telling you that it's a slot weld. And usually the slot weld will have a detailed drawing of the slot. So if there's a diameter symbol, that is telling us basically the size of that hole that you have to fill in. So you can have arrow side, opposite arrow side. The book does actually a very good job of explaining this. So for example, and then you see there's a hidden line here. That is telling me that the hole is on the other side, so your reference line would look like this. Because that's a hidden hole. Those are hidden lines telling me that there's a hole on the back side, so there's two plates. That's how that would look. So whenever you see those hidden lines, if it's on a test or review exercise, that is representing that weld should be on the other side of the arrow. Vice versa. If we put that symbol arrow side, you should be able to see that hole. So that's what that would look like. So that's how you kind of tell them apart. Keep in mind that diameter symbol tells you it's a circle that you are filling in with weld. So whenever you see a reference line that has a diameter in there, that's automatically telling you that it's a plug weld. Slot welds typically, they need some sort of detail to show you the representation of the slot. That is usually located. You might see detail A. Detail A is an actual drawing of the actual slot. They don't put all the dimensions on the slot in it because it gets kind of messy. But for plug welds, they typically do. So let's kind of break down everything of a plug or a slot weld. For example, I'm going to draw a side view. Here's my hole. Reference line. say 1 inch diameter. Again, that is telling me that this hole is 1 inch. Now, usually if there's anything that is dimensioned in here, it's usually dimensioned right into the box itself. So for example, if there's a dimension in here, 1/2 inch, let's say this piece here is 1 inch thick, that is telling me that that gets filled in halfway. So that dimension in here is telling me how far to fill up that plug or slot. Just like all the other symbols. Let's draw another one. Let's put it on this side. Put the reference line. So now that's telling me other side. So that's where your welds go. Let's put some dimensions in there. Let's put 1 inch diameter. Let's put 1/2 inch in here. What does that look like? So that 1/2 inch is telling me that that plug weld gets filled in halfway. So keep in mind the difference between a plug and a slot. The slot's got the elongated hole. Plug welds are perfectly round. Now we can start adding some other dimensions and some other things on this weld assembly. Let's put our arrow, reference line. Let's put a hole in here. Oh, let's change that up. Let's put it in at an angle. Arrow side. Let's put a 1 inch diameter. Now that 1 inch diameter is telling me about this bottom hole. Put 1/2 inch. You can also put 45 degree, just like we follow our other symbols. That is telling me the angle on that countersink. So that countersink angle is going to be 1/2 inch, so it actually is recessed in. Now, to the right, we can also have a number. For example, we can have 6. We can also have a number down here below. Let's say 8. What is that telling me? Well, our pitch between our slots and our plugs are going to be 6. Now we don't have the length, because you don't have the length in the plug or slot. You're just filling that hole in. So now they list our pitch distance. That's the distance between either the plug or the slot. For example, this is the plug weld. The number below, this represents how many. So, as you look at that from the top, let's change that to 6. What is that telling me? We still have 1 inch diameter hole, countersunk at a 45 degree angle. There's 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we also have pitch distance. The distance between the plug welds are 6 inches. So it's basically following that same format that we've already discussed with fillet welds, groove welds. Anything to the left is always telling me the size of the hole. Anything in the middle of your symbol is telling me the depth of how far you're going to fill that plug or slot. Angle is telling me the countersink angle of that hole. Number in parentheses below is telling me the amount. So we have 6 of them. Number to the right is telling me the pitch distance. So that is basically about it for plug or slot. Now we can also have our contours in here too, if you'd like. If you wanted to film completely flat, you could have the flat or flush symbol, contour symbol, and you can have the grinding on it. For example, we could add flat by grinding, and then in parentheses have our number 6. So for example, these here, welded completely, they're bubbled up a little bit, they got a little convex contour, you grind them down flat, you still have 6 of them. So they still follow that same format that we use in all the other welding symbols. These are pretty common in industry. Usually you're increasing your weld surface, the big plates that you're joining together. That's probably where they're primarily used. But they're very basic. Anything to the left, like I said, size of the hole. Anything inside there is telling me how far I fill that hole up. There's usually dimension, angle, contour, grinding. We all know that already. The number, how many. To the right, we're talking about the pitch distance between the plug or slot welds. Now keep in mind, going through the review exercises, if you have any questions, please contact your instructor.